Well, good evening and welcome to the St. Louis Writers Group. Tonight, we are excited to present a pilot for a television show entitled Subtitles by Thomas Rechenberg. And at the end of our reading, we will have a discussion to talk about characters, dialogue, plot development, and so on. Right now, we will ask anyone who's not reading in the play or acting in the play to please mute your microphone and also disengage your camera so that we only see the actors and just the actors and the people that are perhaps reading stage directions. So with that, I will turn it over to Dave, who is going to, I think, introduce the cast.
Subtitles, a TV pilot written by Thomas Rechenberg. Cast list: Jack, played by
Matt Schmidt-Deal.
Tristan, played by
Dean Trail.
Lucy, played by
Merritt Sosnoff.
Brooke, played by
Casey Gleischer.
Kenny and Shanice, played by
Rahad Coulter Stevenson.
Cruz, played by
Charles Sanchez.
Eric, played by
Manny Laurenti.
Belinda, played by
Alexa McKenna.
Andrew, played by
Jacoby Curry.
Guy 1, an announcer, played by
Jonathan Rembold.
Guy 2, played by
Gentry.
Guy 3, played by
Chris Piero.
Guy 4, and the comedian, played by
Jeff Simpson.
Manager 1 and 2, played by
Manuela Calambucas.
Okay. Act 1, fade in, interior hallway night. We follow an early 20s male figure down a dimly lit hallway. Chatter from an audience is heard. At the end of the corridor, an out of focus red neon sign flickers.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jack, guest.
Interior of the theatre, night continuous. Theatre lights up, chatter crescendos into booming applause. The male figure is 23-year-old Jack Goetz. He saunters on stage and grabs the mic. Fathers detest him, but daughters can't resist him, at least in this setting.
New York City, what's going on? I started doing stand-up almost a year ago. Love it, man. Every time I get up on stage, it's something different. I used to tell my roommate, the girl you wake up with after a night of drinking is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get, or what you might have gotten. Something kind of burns down there, if you know what I mean. Nowadays, it's crowds. You never know what you're gonna get. If you're ever at an all-female liberal arts college, lawyer up. You could be telling jokes that they put in the back of Laffy Taffy wrappers. Either way, you're getting canceled by a massage therapy major with a Rick and Morty tattoo. You know, the worst thing is when people's phones...
Blaring sound of a phone alarm goes off throughout the following. It continually grows louder.
Go off. Really? Seriously, people. It's not that hard to turn off your mother...
Interior, Jack's bedroom. Early morning continuous. It's dark. Jack, skittish and strung out, has been dreaming. Tristan, Jack's buff jock stop obsessed roommate, barges in shirtless and whips open the curtains.
Fucking phone off.
Jack, confused, wakes up. He looks at Tristan, who nods to the ringing phone.
It's been going off for 5 minutes.
Jack jumps out of bed, turns off the alarm and looks for a notebook.
I had it. Hand me that pen.
Still with that? You can't live in New York City and be an aspiring comedian. You're not fucking Nick Kroll.
This is the place to be. The clubs, the legends. Stand-up is New York's second language. That's why I came here. Nick Kroll?
The League, Big Mouth, Ref Jeff. Fine. Keep doing your jokes. If you're gonna live with us, people with real jobs, find something that doesn't pay you in fucking gin and tonics.
I just need a little more time.
You need a fucking miracle is what you need. Call up that weird star girl with the lip, whatever the fuck her name is.
Semolina?
Get her and her Ouija board out. Contact Jerry Seinfeld's ghost and ask him for help.
Yeah, Seinfeld's isn't dead.
Been a year since Andrew and I let you live with us. These shit jobs you can barely hold down for 2 weeks aren't cutting it.
This time, it will be different.
You keep saying that. If you want to be a comedian so bad, why aren't you one? Find a real job or you're out.
Tristan picks up the pen and throws it at Jack.
Write that down.
The door slams as he leaves. Close on Jack.
Mother.
Interior. Elevator. Morning. Tristan stands next to his and Jack's roommate, Andrew, a hungry Wall Street gym rat with a hidden creative side. They stare at their phones. Slow, continuous zoom on Jack, who stands behind, bitterly staring at his roommates.
Tesla up again. Wrap up the Vernon account.
Nah, told me to hold.
Slade's going public.
When's that new girl start again?
Next week. Tired of staring at me all day? I found her on Instagram.
Tristan hands Andrew his phone.
Damn. Let me get a slice of that. She Michael Jackson bad. What's her name again?
Zoom finishes fully on Jack. He puts headphones on, drowning out the locker room talk. Exterior, city streets, morning. A montage plays. Jax walks building to building through revolving doors, talks to receptionists, waits in lobbies, reads various magazines and shakes hiring manager's hands. Interior, high-rise office, morning. Manager 1, a middle-aged black woman, interviews Jack.
Tell me about yourself, honey.
Well, I like hanging out with friends, like grilling, brats, ribs. Well, not so much recently. Have you tried Beyond Meat? It's okay. I actually came to New York to pursue stand-up. It didn't exactly plan out.
Care to elaborate?
Interior, high-rise office, morning. Manager 2, a young Karen type, interviews Jack.
What are some of your strengths?
I'm a team player, fast learner, coachable.
Interior, high-rise office, afternoon. Manager 3, a no-nonsense older white man, interviews Jack.
Well, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I'd love my career to propel me into all sorts of rewarding experiences. I guess I like to be a...
Interior, high-rise office, morning. Back to conversation between Manager 2 and Jack.
passionate about my work, quick on my feet, which was actually pretty helpful for improv. You know, I did a scene once with...
Interior, high-rise office, morning. Back to conversation between Manager 1 and Jack.
Gary Owen, swear to God. Cat daddied in and stole my whole material. Is he even relevant anymore?
Jack notices a framed photo of Manager 1 and what appears to be her white husband.
You've seen his stuff, right?
Interior, high-rise office, morning. Back to conversation between Manager 2 and Jack.
Yes.
We're all standing there, and he takes his pants off for the bit. But you know the first rule of improv, I can see your junk, and...
Interior, high-rise office, afternoon. Back to conversation between Manager 3 and Jack.
We're about to get busy. New ideas, new concepts. Okay, a couple years in, I'm still learning, right? Still getting used to it. But I trust Mulaney. John's a great partner for that kind of stuff.
Partner? Stuff?
John Mulaney, he's my writing partner. Oh, and that night I take Rashida to the premiere.
Rashida?
My wife, Rashida Jones Getz. Well, I mean, I'd probably take her name, but do you guys have maiden names? Anyway, after the premiere...
Interior, high-rise office, morning. Back to the conversation between Manager 2 and Jack.
Cops showed up, took everyone's story. Women, pretty shaken up. Men, not prepared for that. Some enjoyed it, but in terms of an improv class, you couldn't have paid for a lesson like that.
Interior, high-rise office, morning. Back to conversation between manager 1 and Jack.
Now I'm putting away the mic and picking up the briefcase. Corporate America's calling my name. I also need the money.
It was interesting meeting you, Mr. Gratz.
The two shake hands. Jack smiles ear to ear and leaves. Close on manager 1's bewildered face. Interior lobby, midday. Jack is hunched over the desk of Shanice, 30s, a sassy receptionist. Her patience is fading.
I had jobs here and there, half-ass in the comedy thing. Thought, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all in. So I quit and started whole ass in it, right? And the thing about whole ass in it is something is that in your ass is it's really...
Jack finally clocks Shanice staring off into space.
I'm losing you, aren't I? Let me start from the beginning. It's
Well, floor 26, elevator to the left. And play it cool. Ain't nobody want to hear your life story.
Roger that, Shanice.
Interior, elevator, midday, continuous. Jack repeatedly hits the 26th floor button to no avail.
Come on.
Elevator doors open. Brooke, bright, quick-witted, but looks like Giselle should be taking modelling lessons from her, stands in front of Jack. Just her smile has guys proposing. Brooke waves her ID card over the sensor and hits the 26th floor. She looks at Jack and asks him the question.
I'm sorry. What?
Going to 26?
Before he can answer, 4 boisterous Wall Street guys, late 20s, enter the elevator, squishing Jack to the back.
Can't believe you left your number.
He was totally into me.
Wasn't even that hot.
Who'd you hook up with last night? The girl built like a hippopotamus?
In my defense, she did have some pretty big...
Doesn't count when you're pushing 200 pounds.
Gentlemen, take it easy. We're in the midst of an impressionable young lady. Miss, I apologize for my friend's inconsiderate and unscrupulous behavior. Perhaps I can buy you a drink and we can put this matter to my bed. Rest.
Guys trying to contain their laughs. Brooke keeps ignoring. Jack looks intently at her.
Hey, now your behavior is quite inconsiderate.
Finally, Brooke turns round, ready to pounce.
Sorry, but I don't get drinks with guys that are built with giraffe legs.
Close on guy 1's skinny legs. Brooke exit. Guys 2, 3, and 4 cackle. Jack chuckles. They turn and stop laughing. The elevator doors close before Jack can escape. End of Act 1. Act 2. Interior, 26th floor lobby, midday. Jack examines a list of 20 companies crossed off. Last one reads, Universal Subtitle Solutions. He takes a deep breath and walks down the hallway.
Play it cool.
Interior, Universal Subtitle Solutions office, midday. Jack turns the corner to see the USS office. It's small and sad looking. Employees stare into computer screens. Jack's glancing around is interrupted by Eric, 29, racially mixed, high energy, quick to point out on the cilantro in your teeth, always in the cattiest of ways.
Hello, Mr. Who are you?
Jack Getz. I have an interview with Miss Winkleman at 1.
Yes, Jack. I'm Eric. Welcome to USS. For a second, I thought you were pitching us the docuseries on Ariel Winters' breast reduction.
Not me. That's going to be a thing?
Yes. And it's going to physically ruin me. Now come along. I'll show you around.
I should have went back in the office?
No, you don't want to be in there.
Interior conference room, midday, continuous. Eric shows Jack a small conference room. There's a surprisingly nice view of the city.
This is our cozy little conference room for team meetings and when people pitch us shows.
It's pretty nice.
Except this hideous paint color. And I'm begging, do not look at the baseboards. Ricardo was supposed to fix them, but claims we never paid him.
Interior kitchen, midday continuous. Eric brings Jack to the kitchen. It has modern appliances and a rustic wood table. It's the nicest room in the office.
Okay, confession time. We love food. We always eat lunch together and hang out in the kitchen, and it's just so special. This is our Mecca, and only I get to say that. I dated a guy who worked at this Lebanese place. He named Katayef after me, but his uncle was in Hezbollah. So, what do you think?
It's really nice.
There might be some leftover cake in the fridge. Yes, there is. Ugh, such a sweet girl. If you tell my trainer, I will kill you.
Interior, curator's corner, midday continuous. Eric brings Jack to a small corner. Cruz, 26, Latin American, lovable with a fear of flying chanclas, sits next to Lucy, a cute Greek American whose sarcasm turns her victims to stone. They sit with headphones on, unfazed.
Hello? Lovelies. We have company.
Cruz and Lucy turn round and remove their headphones. Jack locks eyes with Lucy. He softly smiles at her.
Jack, I want to introduce you to our little blended family. This muchacho is Cruz.
Cruz gives a disapproving look to Eric. He stands and firmly shakes Jack's hand.
What's up, bro?
And this tasty piece of baklava is our very own Lucy Manolas.
Greek.
Korean.
Oh, I love pad thai.
Lucy, be nice. Where's my darling Brooke? You guys get to know each other. I'll be right back. Mingle. Mingle!
Eric prances off. Cruz and Lucy step closer to Jack.
Yo, when did you give up on life?
Who? What?
Did you recently have a conversation with Satan? Or whatever evil spirits you believe in? You're about to sell your soul. Not only to this company, but to the dark arts of transcribing. Can you call it an art?
You don't want this job, Ese. 8 lifeless hours a day, you'll never get back. It's draining.
I haven't actually been hired yet.
You can rewrite your fate. We're trapped, paralyzed. But you believed us for a second.
What's going on?
It's a joke, bro. It's a joke, all right? It is draining, though. Only thing that keeps me alive here is la gente. Love the people here. Trust me, working with us, you'll realize why we keep coming back.
Cruz's words fade as Brooke enters with Eric. Jack stares at her, regenerating the attraction he felt in the elevator.
Meet our subtitle superstar.
Brooke says something to Jack. He's too distracted again.
Sorry, what?
You're the guy from the elevator. I didn't know you were going to be working here.
You know each other?
We shared the lift. Nice to formally meet you. I'm Brooke.
Close on Brooke, smiling, biting a lip, hair flowing in the wind. Jack is semi-imagining this. Belinda, 40s, uptight but tries to be funny, enters. She looks like she hands out detentions for a living but hasn't been inside a high school in decades.
Mr. Getz, Belinda Winkleman.
Jack snaps out of it.
Ready to rock and roll?
Interior, Belinda's office, midday. Belinda glosses over Jack's resume. He sits uncomfortably eyeballing the odd film posters on the wall.
These posters are, really...
Says here you studied film production and comedic writing in undergrad.
Yeah.
And your capstone film was Who Let the Dog Out? The story of George, a white Pomeranian from the Upper West Side who identifies as Rocco, a street fighting pit bull from Harlem.
Belinda puts down the resume and stares at Jack.
It was a mockumentary-style commentary. Actually made into a couple festivals. It's partially animated.
You know, identity confusion in animals is all too real. Dogs, cats, guinea pigs, kangaroos, they all suffer. Seahorses, what the hell is a seahorse? Seriously. I don't think this is going to be the right fit for you, Jack.
Miss Winkleman, please, I really need this job. I'll come early, stay late, work weekends. I won't assume any animal identity ever again.
Another long silence. Belinda begins to break.
Oh, wow. Did I get you? Should have seen your face. This is exactly the kind of creative energy we boast around here. I mean, you are funny. I gotta see this film of yours.
Whenever you want.
Here's the deal. I see you're a smart kid, ambitious, driven. College, you know, you haven't been given that freedom. But here, Jack, your freedoms start today.
Sounds amazing.
I'm looking to fill the position for a hardworking subtitle curator in the reality division. Ready to get this party started?
Party on.
A couple rules. Don't get distracted watching the shows. Boob jobs gone wrong have their place, but not at work. Focus on transcribing.
Of course.
What else? Oh yes, this is a full-time position, so you're not allowed to be employed anywhere else.
I'm all in.
And one last thing. Don't fall in love with the person sitting next to you.
Jack looks through the glass and spots Brooke. Belinda's words fade.
We've had issues in the past, and since I've been in charge, it's a definite no-no.
Fade to Interior Comedy Club stage, night. Jack and Brooke sit together in the audience. A roast-like comedian aggressively tells jokes on stage.
Guy on the phone goes, I literally have a friend in me. How we doing tonight, people?
Comedian glances around, stopping on Brooke and Jack.
Whoa, miss, you are way too good looking to be in here right now. You got any Russian billionaires in the house tonight? I think I found your impossibly good looking mistress. So who you sitting with? What is that, your gay best friend? Whoa, no offense, dude, but she is... and you're... Yikes. You here to explain all the jokes?
My boyfriend and a better comedian than you'll ever be.
Brooke turns to Jack and goes to kiss him. Cut right before their lips touch. Interior Curator's Corner, late afternoon. Brooke slams a pair of old headphones on the desk, bringing Jack back to real life.
You're gonna need a good pair of these. Eric, do we have any newer headphones?
Maybe in the back.
Don't move. Thank you, Eric.
No problem, kitten.
Jack stares as Brooke walks away. Cruz notices.
Yeah, I had a shot with her too, you know what I'm saying? Went to lunch a couple times. Everyone else was there too, but it was cool, you know? She a good looking mamacita, bro.
Cruz makes the universal look that means, I know you like her.
Dude, I can't even focus when she's in the room.
Hey, Luce, new guy's distracted. He's gonna need the rerun.
Not happening, hombre. You want to know what it's like working here? Imagine you're drowning, and someone hands you 40 hours of footage.
Okay, Gaffigan. Good talk. You want to know what it's like to have 4 kids? Imagine you're drowning and someone hands you a baby. I'm starting to see the connection. I'm sort of into comedy. Was. Not anymore. I did a couple sets when I moved here and hoping to take off.
What happened, bro?
Clearly, he has his own Netflix special.
I don't know. I lost it. The drive, ambition, writing, none of it was working. Nobody gets it. My parents, my roommates, they talk about how cool Dave Portnoy is and how many shares of Elon Musk's CBD company they own, about buying NFTs when I don't even know what an NFT is. And they just don't even understand what creativity is, you know? They don't get it's a process. They certainly don't understand how someone would use it as a career. If it's not money, girls, or bottle service, they say, why try?
Wow, your roommates sound awesome. Maybe you need the right people around to help spark your passion.
Maybe, but I need a job. And no offense, I'm not sure you people can get my spark back. I'm not sure I want it back.
How about after work, we take you somewhere that us people go to get that spark.
Jack reluctantly smiles. Brooke returns with the new headphones.
La gente, bro. La gente.
Okay, end of Act 2. Act 3. Interior USS office, evening. Cruz and Lucy connect their things before exiting. Jack walks over to Brooke. They wait for the elevator.
First day in the books.
Interior, elevator, evening. Brooke and Jack both face forward. It's just them.
Hey, I know we just met, but would you want to hang out sometime this weekend?
I can't. I'm really sorry, but I gotta prep.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for helping me get started today. I'm gonna enjoy getting to know you more.
And how do you suppose you're going to do that?
We sit next to each other, and on me, I can only transcribe so many subtitles at a time.
Jack,
Yeah, what's up?
you were hired to take my spot. Today was my last day. I start my real job next week.
Wow, I guess I should have realized that.
Good thing this job's not brain surgery. Gotta start paying attention to details.
Elevator doors open. Brooke's phone starts ringing. It's the same tone as Jack's morning alarm.
I texted them I was running late. Jack? Maybe we'll see each other sometime.
They share a meaningful hug before she picks up the ringing phone. She looks at Jack intensely and walks off. The elevator doors close on him. Exterior, city streets, night. Cruz, Eric and Lucy walk and talk together. Jack lags behind. They turn into a shady-looking alley.
Am I about to get mugged?
Scared.
Cruz and Eric are let in by a bouncer. Lucy stops at the red-coloured door and turns round to see a hesitant Jack. She warmly nods for him to follow. They walk inside. Interior hallway night. Jack follows Lucy. Dimly lit red bulbs light the hallway. The walls are engulfed with photos of comedians, performing actors, headshots, and people drinking. Jack looks wall to wall as if he knows the place, but can't decipher from where.
What is this place?
Never been here?
I've stepped foot in like almost every single comedy club in New York, and I honestly have no idea where we are right now.
Let's just say you won't see this place on TripAdvisor.
She keeps walking. He follows. At the end of the hallway, he glances up and sees a red neon sign that reads, The Mercenary. Interior, comedy club, stage, night. Jack and Lucy sit next to each other. A comedian Paul performs. They all laugh together. Jack continues to look around. Interior, hallway, night. Jack paces back and forth, glossing over the photos on the wall. Then he notices a sign that reads, Bar back needed. He rips it off the wall and scans meticulously. Kenny, 40s, a larger-than-life black guy, sees Jack reading the sign.
Interested?
Me? No. Just here with some friends.
Those crazy subtitle folks? Who's the one always talking about Anne Hathaway?
You know them?
They come around every so often. Even get on stage if they've had a couple.
Lucy does stand-up? And Eric? And Cruz?
Yeah, she can bring it down. Great instincts and real smooth. Cruz mostly talks about what he ate that day. I don't know what the hell the other one does.
Jack chuckles. He notices Kenny closely inspecting him.
Jack.
Kenny James, manager. If you like comedy, it's a great place to make some extra cash. We don't have the biggest names come through, but we make it work.
I'm sort of taking a sabbatical from comedy.
You taking a what? Boy, do I look like a thesaurus?
Comedy's not really my thing anymore. I'm not funny enough.
Man, if you think stand-up is just about being funny, then you got it all wrong. Let me guess. 2 shows and you weren't discovered, and now you're ready to call it quits. And this industry will give up on you the second you give up on yourself.
Doesn't matter. It used to be a dream, but I'm okay with that.
Why are you here tonight? Talking with me right now. What led you to this moment?
Are you about to give me a huge speech on fate or something?
No, I'm trying to figure out why you're done with comedy, but it ain't done with you.
Jack looks at the flyer, then back at Kenny.
It's wasting its time.
Jack hands Kenny the flyer. He turns around and exits. Interior, comedy club, back of house, night. Jack watches on as another comedian performs. He takes out his phone. Tristan has texted.
Please tell me you found a real job.
Finally, at this weird office. I can't really describe it.
Jack sees Lucy laughing. He responds again.
It's cool though.
Another shit job you won't be able to hold. It's not going to be enough for rent. I warned you, pack your shit when you get back.
Jack reads the text. Fuming, he cracks his knuckles on his head. After a beat, Jack turns to the hallway. Interior hallway, night continuous. From behind, we follow Jack running down the dimly lit, red-lit hallway. He grabs Kenny by the shoulder and he turns around.
When can I start?
Cut to black. End of show.
Bravo to the actors. Thank you. And so at this time, and bravo to Thomas as well, at this time, we will begin our discussion. So as you wish to respond to the questions that we have prepared, please turn your microphone back on. You're welcome to turn your video on as well so that we can see everyone. We do value the comments as they really help Thomas to work on his play. So I'll read just a few kind of guidelines to get us started. If you enjoy theater, you'll enjoy the St. Louis Writers Group reading because we ask for your comments. It's all part of helping the author strengthen his play. Ordinarily, if we were in a live setting, we'd ask you to raise your hand. We found on Zoom that it's preferable for you just to speak up if you have a comment. Just try your best not to interrupt another speaker. All comments must be made in a professional and courteous manner. The playwright cannot answer direct questions. During the discussion, the playwright cannot speak. Instead, he's encouraged to listen to all comments without trying to answer questions or defend the script. And while that's difficult, experience has proven that it's the most effective way to help Thomas by allowing him to hear all points of view. And then we will give Thomas the final word tonight after the discussion. So I'll start with the first question, which is off the top of your head, using just a few words or a short sentence, what is your immediate reaction to the work? It could be needs more work. It could be interesting characters. You could say it's touching, it's funny, etc. Who wants to start us off?
I will. I think it works. It kept me interested all the way through, and I wasn't involved with the previous rehearsal, so this is the first time I've heard it through. The characters are strong. It draws you in. Obviously, there's not a great deal happens in a pilot, but there's a quite nice foreshadowing that something's going to happen and it's going to go off in an interesting direction. I look forward to seeing the rest of it.
Good.
Yep, I found it had nice energy to it, good interaction with the characters, nice dialogue. Interesting. You were interested enough in these people, and I'm still quite curious about the subtitle job. It seems unusual enough, and says, okay, this looks pretty good.
There's a lot of conflict going on, nice conflicts. You know, do you really want this job is one question that was asked of him. Don't fall in love with the person sitting next to you, which obviously might be a problem. Will this job be right for him? And his aspirations to be a comedian were once a dream, So how will that develop? So I think there's a lot of nice conflict, which brings us to the premise. Is the author's premise clear, and is it effectively developed? Anybody?
I think if this main character is trying to be a comedian and that's the premise, you might want to show him actually performing more in the pilot. You know, they just showed him saying 2 or 3 jokes at the very beginning. You might want to actually see him on stage once or twice more and running through several jokes to get the idea that maybe he really is good at comedy, and you know, there's some point to his pursuing it.
Yeah, fair comment. Good. Any other points to be made?
I have a comment, Dominic, over here that you can't see.
Good, Dominic, go ahead.
Yeah, everything's shut down. Very engaging, Thomas, very engaging. A lot of fun with that. You can really play with it. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
Good.
And I'm here in the dark.
Well, we're glad you're here with us.
I'm telling you guys.
I'm in the dark most of the time, so welcome. Anything else about the premise before we go on to characters?
Really don't quite get the premise or anything, but it doesn't matter because the storyline and everything else just, we can see you.
Oh, please, God.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right, guys. I didn't have the lead, thank God. Okay. For this one.
I would think the premise would be, you know, a simple statement of like, don't give up on your dreams, keep at it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would add to that I think that this young man's trying to find himself, and we get to kind of come along on the journey. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Good. All right, well, let's talk specifically about the characters. Are they well-defined and clearly defined and well-developed? Are they believable? And is there sufficient contrast among the characters?
I thought the characters were well-defined. I did feel like the scenes were a little bit truncated. It just needed a little bit more to give it a punch, you know, because they would do a few lines and then it was on to the next scene. So I just think it could be a little bit more development in the scenes between the characters.
Okay. I'd say there's a hint of stereotypes, but you see some of the characters for such a brief time. The managers, the guys in the elevator. When you do that, you almost have to use some stereotypes so that the message comes across. But in terms of the main character, there was a lot there. That was good.
Yeah, I think the characters are pretty good, and there's a reasonable number of them, at least main characters. One of the favorite things I've been watching at the moment is a French series which is on Netflix called Call My Agent, which has been massively successful across the world. Some people may have seen it. And I was looking at this and thinking about what made it so successful. And one of the things is that the characters are very distinct, and there's a relatively small number of them. There's about 4 main characters who are on screen a lot of the time. Then there's about 3, 4, maybe 5 minor characters, and that formula of the characters, and they're sufficiently contrasting that works very well. And I think you've got some of that formula there. some of your characters, your main protagonist is very good. The supporting characters are working pretty well too. Maybe differentiate a little bit between the workmates, the new colleagues, but maybe you haven't seen enough of them yet to be able to differentiate all that well. But you know, I think the potential's there. It's yeah, I think the characters work pretty well.
I thought it was good too. Only thing that I felt a little less admirable about was the fact that 3 times there were individuals who said something to him seriously and were joking. And I'd just like to see maybe that happen maybe once by somebody. I think a little too much of that might cause the viewer to wonder if that's going to keep happening to him. Or if it does, can there be something about him that draws that kind of thing or something? But basically, I really enjoyed it.
Sorella, could you explain that a little bit more? I'm with you to an extent, but you said that they said something funny, but in a serious way. I'm not sure if I understood exactly.
No, they weren't saying something funny. They said something to him that he took seriously and then said, I gotcha, or I'm just kidding.
Oh,
but see,
right.
this short play, it happened 3 times in this short. You see what I'm saying? So
Now I do. Thank you. Yes.
yeah, one of those I think in a series you don't call it a scene, but in per show, one per show maybe.
Mhm.
You know.
Right. Okay. Good. Thank you. Anything else about the dialogue? No. Let's go on to the. No, that was yeah. No, actually, we were talking about characters. Now we'll go on to the dialogue. Anything specific about the dialogue in the use of language? Is it effective? Is it realistic? Do you hear any trite words, trite phrases? Cirilla brought up a good point there with that interaction. Anything else about dialogue?
I thought that the dialogue was very good. I mean, it really evoked each character, the way they speak, the way, like it brought out their personality from what they were saying and reacting with each other. So I thought the dialogue was excellent.
Good. Any other comments on dialogue? Then we will move along to the dramatic effect. Was the opening too slow or fast? Is the play, the pilot in this case, too long or too short? And how about the, usually in a play we talk about the final resolution. In this case, we have an ending that hopefully leads us on to the next episode.
Right.
But did that seem to be effective to everyone?
As far as the final resolution goes, again, I mentioned this before, but I think you need to show the main character actually being funny up on stage, because if producers are looking at this pilot and saying, well, do we want to take this and go on to further episodes? If you have a potential comedian who hasn't shown that he's actually funny, they're going to wonder, are any of the other episodes going to actually show him being a comedian? I mean, we got this guy who wants to be a comedian, but are the producers who might buy this pilot, are they going to be convinced that there's actually going to be something funny about this guy, that they should produce additional episodes? I'm thinking of the Mrs. Maisel, series, which this may be related to, where I think in the first pilot she at least was funny several times, and you got the feeling, I'd like to hear more of her. Okay.
Yeah, good. Maybe I have to admit there was a time towards the beginning, especially, where I wondered if the pilot needed a little bit more sense of identity, whether it was meant to be more comic or, more a look inside these characters, from a dramatic standpoint or a more serious standpoint. I think it's very well written and a lot of potential there, but does it need to be more identifiable as, the genre that it fits in? Going back, I'll say one other thing too that I really liked about this play, and it might be a little bit contradictory to Mario's view on it, but I thought at the beginning, when it was shifting quickly between these different scenes and locations, that worked pretty well, because it put us in the character's head pretty quick, and it also kind of kept us guessing what was going to happen. For me, it worked anyway.
Well, I'd like to say also on that reference to the marvelous Miss Maisel, like those scenes were so meticulously set up with the characters, and at the end they had like a little punch that you knew the scene was over. And I think a little bit with this is like the earliest scenes were not fully developed enough where it had that punch where you're like ready to go to the next scene.
As far as the length goes, I don't know much about TV pilots, but I think like for a half-hour show, don't they say it's supposed to be something like 20 to 23 minutes long? And this one was maybe about 30, 35 minutes. I don't know if it's meant to be an hour-long pilot or a half hour or what, but the length seemed a little bit odd to me.
I think the length is going to be okay because don't forget, I was reading stage directions, and although I was going through them pretty quickly, when it actually happens, it will be quicker than that. So it will
How
be
many,
a little bit shorter.
Dave, how many pages was it?
29.
Oh, okay, so it's a half an hour.
Yeah. And I've chatted with my daughter about this sort of thing. The people who don't know this, my daughter actually works for a TV company in the UK and does actually, one of the things she does is read scripts and hires people and takes them on. And I would have said this was quite a reasonable length. I think it's okay, Lewis.
Good. All right. The one question I didn't include in that is, does the script hold your interest? And Dave said it does. It does for me. Everybody in pretty good
Holds
shape?
my interest, yeah.
Yeah. Good. Okay, then let's move on. Is there anything this isn't a live play, so we don't have staging to consider, but are there any production problems that anyone would foresee with this?
No, not for a TV pilot.
Right. Okay, we're just going to skip past that then and go on to, is the script marketable as it is, or what specific work does it need to be sellable to a TV producer?
It needs to be made. That's.
It does, and at least Thomas knows where to shop it. He can go to your daughter.
Well, she is based in London.
I don't know. I used to have an association with Dave McFadden from Home Improvement, and he would have liked this, but I think he would have said it's not quite spicy enough is a word he would have used. It just needs a little more kick, and I don't know what that would be. I really liked it. I would watch the second episode right away. So
I think there is maybe a little bit too much exposition by some of the characters where they kind of explain who they are and what they're doing and so on. It just seemed that way with some of these characters.
Good. All good comments and very helpful, I would think, to Thomas. If there's no other comments, we'll turn it over to Thomas. Again, thank you to the actors who did a fantastic job. Thanks to all of you who contributed your comments. That's very helpful. Thomas, what would you like to say?
Well, I thank you guys, Dave, Rob, Dennis, Richard, Mario, everybody here, St. Louis Writers Group. Thanks for having me. This was just such a fun thing. Thank you for all the readers and the actors that we all got together. I know we have some people from New York, some people from LA, some people right here in St. Louis, all over the country. So the Zoom thing actually worked quite well to our advantage here. This was so fun to do. I have a passion for writing. I would love to pursue television writing or film writing, any kind of thing. I have a background. I went in documentary film. I went to the University of Missouri and did their documentary journalism program. And so I have a couple friends here that did that as well. After I graduated, though, I really got into, features, kind of all that kind of writing, television writing. I just thought I've always loved the format of, really interesting series that are on Netflix and Hulu and all these new streaming services. And I thought, hey, I had this idea for a while. I thought this would be something that I think would be really marketable. You have these young people trying to figure out what they want to do in life. They're in New York, they're attractive, there's all kind of conflict there. You have this one character who's had this dream to become a comedian for a while. he says that he moved to New York to pursue comedy. We find that out right away. But what we soon realize is that this guy has been he's been trying at it. He's been trying comedy for a couple years now, and he really isn't any good at it. He might be funny, you know, what Kenny at the end tells him, he might be funny, but being funny isn't the whole shebang. You know, you got to be able to market yourself. You got to do all this. And that's where he's struggling. And so, Lewis, your comments where you're saying, I'd like to see him, you know, be funny and all that, that's, yeah, throughout the series, he kind of gets that confidence back. And it's through his coworkers, you know, that transcribe subtitles with him that really push him to, hey, don't give up on this. You know, you're a romantic, you're a perfectionist. If you don't see yourself, you know, being on stage and doing it all perfect, he's kind of thinking, then why am I doing this? You know, I did 2 shows and I wasn't discovered. I guess I'm terrible. I guess I should give up. But throughout the series, you know, his coworkers and especially Kenny, who was played by Rahad, phenomenal job. He kind of shows him the ropes and really gives him that inside scoop of like how comedians work, how you need to market yourself and everything. I think the reason why this is really marketable at a time that we're in right now is because there are a lot of young people just like me who want to be writers, who want to be actors, who want to be comedians. We don't know really where to start besides just doing it, you know, going on stage or putting, you know, pen to paper and going out there and writing something, you know, and it takes encouragement from other people. I mean, there have been times where you want to do something, you just don't know where to start. And so you might be discouraged by it just to give up already before you even get into it. And more times than less, it takes encouragement from other people. And that's really what this whole series is about. It's about other people, you know, telling you, hey, don't give up on this. It's going to be a rocky start. You know, you're not going to know what you're doing the whole time. But he makes these friends throughout the series. He gets better at, you know, he gets funnier, he gets experience, and ultimately, he may become a comedian. We'll see.
We're so grateful that you brought the work in to us, and please bring back more of your work and share it with us.
Yeah, I would say so. That's great. And one other thing I thought is the acting tonight was really, really good. I was very impressed with the acting. Please, actors who are at least local St. Louis, give us your contact details, because we quite often are looking for actors to help us with the readings, particularly younger actors. We've got plenty of old geezers like myself and Brad Slavic and to take up the geriatric parts, but we are quite often short of younger actors, strangely enough. So please do let us know your details, and you know, come along when we start meeting in person. I think we're pretty much cast for the last 2 Zoom sessions, but we'll get going soon in person, and we'd love to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we end this evening's meeting, I'll thank Dave for his part in organizing this and advertising it, and also Dennis for providing the Zoom link for us, all the members of the steering committee for the work they do, Richard for putting the schedule together, and so on. And actors, again, Thomas, thank you. We wish you the very best of luck. Please bring this back. And best wishes to everyone. I think the only last thing to say is to remind you of what David mentioned before the meeting started, which is that we look forward to meeting in person starting in July at Big Daddy's, and that those meetings will be on Tuesday evenings. You'll need to be on our mailing list to know the exact schedule. So
one final thing, if I could say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, again, I really appreciate all the feedback that everyone provided me. It's something that I found, you know, St. Louis Writers Group, that this is a perfect opportunity to workshop it and get a lot of, you guys have so much experience, and the opinions that you give me is incredible, because this is something that, yeah, I love, like I said, I love writing, and I do think that this is a marketable series. And I think with the right connections and everything, I think this is something that could potentially get off the ground. Dave, I might have to talk to your daughter, who might have connections here in the U.S.
We should never mention it, actually. she's outright refused to look at anything that aren't right.
So I'm just really glad that this is such a community that we have here, even if it's not in New York, Chicago, LA. It's right here in our backyard, Big Daddies. So I really appreciate all your guys' help, and I'm still writing. That's the main thing. Got to always keep writing. I have another pilot that I'm working on right now that has a big kind of ensemble cast again. So hopefully I will be back and we could do this all again.
Yes, let's look forward to it.
We're saying in 2 weeks, we have a screenplay by Mark. I'm going to try to pronounce it. Mark Antio. Antio, there it is. I'll get it one of these days. Anyway, Mark's bringing us a screenplay in 2 weeks. It should be hopefully our last Zoom meeting. So tune in for that. And then in July, like Rob said, we're back in person. So that's kind of exciting.